Good morning, everyone, and welcome to day 3 and the final day of Beauty Expo Australia online. Thank you for taking the time out to join us this morning. My name is Flynn Roberts, and I'm the recently appointed Event Director for Beauty Expo Australia. I joined the team here at the start of the year after what has been a very tough 2020 for everyone, especially as we've not been able to connect with our community in person for well over 18 months now. Can you believe it? However, the team and I here at Beauty Expo are very excited to be working towards our next physical event at the ICC Sydney on the 28th to the 29th of August, and we hope you are too. It's already shaping up to be one of our best yet, with plenty of exciting new content, brands, and features which we will be unveiling shortly, so stay tuned for more information. In the meantime, we have had the great pleasure of keeping you all connected with Beauty Expo online this week. Apart from these live panel sessions over on the Beauty Expo Australia website, you'll be able to connect with over 100 leading brands with some amazing special offers, brand training videos and product demonstrations, as well as more education with our on-demand videos, which you can watch at any time that suits you. So let's kick things off for the final day with today's live panel session presented by the newly formed Aesthetics and Beauty Industry Council. We have the pleasure today of being joined by a number of the ABIC board representatives who will be sharing their goals to support individuals and business owners so that we have a unified, strong, and progressive industry that is equipped for the future. I'm just going to go through and introduce now all our panelists for today. So first of all, I'd like to welcome Matt Williams, CEO and co-founder of Professional Beauty Solutions. With 25 years experience starting, buying, and growing small businesses, his strengths lie in finance, brand building, sales, marketing, and growing teams. He has worked with and/or consulted franchise groups across multiple industries, as well as dozens of SMEs, and his current business offers 15 brands to several thousand salons, spas, and clinics nationwide, as well as the UK, NZ, and Canada. We also have Emma Hobson, who is regarded as one of Australia's most influential people in the health and beauty industry today. Having spent the last 30 years shaping what she considers to be an industry of women for women, Emma's expertise in the areas of dynamic business strategies, leadership, and team management, along with her unparalleled insight into the future trends of the skincare, wellness, and spa industry, have led her to appear on stages all over the world and be featured regularly in many high-profile publications. And last but not least, this is her third panel of the week, and she's actually joining us while on a family holiday. Testament to her passion for this industry is businesswoman, coach, and mentor, Gay Wardle. As an internationally recognized speaker and educator, Gay was awarded Educator of the Year at the 2015 Australian Beauty Industry Awards. Through her dedication and commitment to learning and teaching others, Gay has established herself as one of the most respected icons in the industry and has been inducted into the ABIA and Reed Exhibition's Halls of Fame. So I know we have a lot to cover on this topic. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, so we're going to hand over to Emma now. But just a reminder, if anyone has any questions during the panel, you are welcome to use the chat function, type the question in there, and then at the end of the session, we'll cover any questions for you. So I'll let you take it away, Emma.
Thank you very much. Well, it's wonderful for ABIC to be here today, and we are sincerely appreciative to have the opportunity to speak to you on a subject that's very passionate to everybody on the board of ABIC, and that's about the future wellness and the future direction of our industry, that we need to be exceptionally strong and exceptionally united together. And, you know, with so much change, I feel somehow, as much as we've had a virus that's hit us last year, it feels more like a tornado as well, in the way that the rapid amount of change that has hit us in the last year or so. I think it's made us have to rethink, definitely reset, and without doubt reposition what we do. And the future is looking very, very different indeed. And so from an ABIC's point of view, it's wonderful to have the experience of Gay and Matt here today to also share their thoughts with you. So Matt, if you don't mind, we'll put you up first, and love to hear from your perspective, being in the industry as long as you have, and having so many customers that you look after, really having your finger on the pulse of what's going on. If you could kick us off with your points of what you think, we need for the future to set us up for success.
Thanks so much, Emma. I appreciate that. Hi, everyone. I hope you're all doing really well out there. If you've been in Sydney, you'll be happy that we've got a sunny day today, which is awesome. Look, the topic of today, as Emma just kind of set up there, is adapting to a new normal and being prepared for a new future. There's no question that in the last 25 years, since my first exposure to this industry, there's been enormous change in that time. And if you look at what's evolved over that time, I mean, one thing that comes to mind is like IPL for hair removal wasn't even a thing 25 years ago. And more than half the brands that are available to us now weren't around 25 years ago. So over the decades, everything changes and business constantly evolves. In fact, one of my favorite lines is from Charles Darwin. It's not survival of the fittest, but it's survival of the most adaptable. And that's his theory of evolution. And the same is true for business, that we don't just have to be the biggest or the strongest, but we do actually have to be the most adaptable. So if we look at just the changes, and some of you have probably just entered the industry and some of you have been around for decades, but if we look at the changes over the last decades, there are trends that we always need to keep an eye on and be aware of as business owners. But as Emma said, in 2020, the acceleration of that change was just mind-blowing. I couldn't believe it. And then I started to watch a lot of, not just in our industry, but experts that track what's going on worldwide. And some suggested that we saw a decade's worth of change in 2020. Now, as a business owner, it's hard enough at the best of times to keep up and evolve and manage how to grow your business and maintain your customer base and retain team members. But when you have that level of acceleration, it's really challenging. So a couple of distinctions that I want to share with you today, and then I'm going to hand it over to Gay to add her insight and wisdom, especially considering how much she knows around education, because I think that that's a real key to what we need to do in business, and especially in this business. But some of the things that I've noticed is that the top complaint consistently, and then in particular in 2020 from salon, spa and clinic owners, is that they need more customers and they need to be able to retain more valuable, engaged team members. So it always comes down to customer and team. Of course, money as well, but it's like if you can take care of the customer side of things and you can keep great team members, then the money can take care of itself. And there's a whole nother subject on that. But if we look at customer and team, what do we need to do? Well, firstly, we need to understand their needs. And secondly, we need to exceed their expectations. And as I said before, that's always a struggle in business. To understand the customer's needs, exceed their expectations, understand the team members' needs and exceed their expectations. But it has been even more difficult in 2020. And I think that the trends that we'd noticed have accelerated, like I said. And what I think that we're facing now in 2021 and what we need to address is two things. On the customer side, the customers evolved and changed, and the way that we interact and the way that we buy things and the way that we work has changed rapidly last year. So the customer is now what I would call or refer to as an informed customer. And the team member is what I would, and this is not, sounds a little bit bad, but many of you will recognize this, but I sometimes refer to as the entitled team member. So I'm going to come back to that in a second. But let's start with the customer. So the informed customer. Some interesting facts is that years ago, people used to Google search for acne cream as an example. In 2020, I think the search for benzoyl peroxide over acne cream was something crazy, like 30 times the amount of search on Google. Niacinamide, I think, was, as far as a skincare ingredient, was the highest ranked search term on the internet in 2020. So it tells us that our customers are coming in informed, because information is abundant with the way that things have evolved. I mean, last year, people were home on their computers, figuring out, oh, well, I don't have my salon's not open, or the fear of the salon being closed for a longer period of time. I need to figure this stuff out on my own. So this was already happening, but it's happening more than ever now. So you've got an informed customer coming in. And when they come in with information, they often think that they know what they need, which we know as experts in our industry, there is a whole lot lacking. They may have an abundance of information, but they don't have an abundance of wisdom. And I'm going to leave the wisdom side to Gay and Emma both, because in there, they both know more about that side of things than I think that I ever will. And I think that they're instrumental in educating our industry on building wisdom, so that we can actually counteract the customer that comes in that thinks that they're well informed, but maybe there's a lot of gaps that they still need to know. So there's that side of it. The other thing that I would add is that on the team side, and I say it doesn't sound great when I'm not positioning every team member as this, but there is a level of entitlement that we see now that we didn't see a decade ago or 2 decades ago. I remember one of my first mentors said to me, if you give 10 hours worth of work for 8 hours worth of pay, you'll always have a job, you'll always be valuable to your employer. And that's the kind of the thinking behind what you need to do to excel through your career. And he said, one day that'll pay back tenfold, which it has. It's probably paid back 100-fold. Do 10 hours worth of work for 8 hours worth of pay. Now, I can't even suggest that as an employer these days. In fact, I had an interview the beginning of last year, and one of the questions in the interview from the prospective, the candidate was, how does the sick leave work? And I thought, oh man, I would never have asked a potential employer how the sick leave works. I'm thinking about what I can contribute and what I can give rather than what I can get. And I've always focused on that. But we have seen less and less of that over the years. And I think that in 2020, the whole JobKeeper situation brought that to the surface. Many of the salon owners that I talked to couldn't fathom that their team, despite receiving JobKeeper payments, weren't willing to come in and re-merchandise the shelves and do training so that they could reopen with excitement when their salons were able to reopen. So a lot of last year brought a lot to the surface. So there is, without question, never been a more appropriate time to ensure that you understand your customers' needs, you're able to meet and exceed their needs. And the same is true for your team members, to understand their needs, to meet and exceed them on a daily basis. It's a big challenge as a salon owner, especially when it comes to team, because there's legislation and there's rules that you need to abide by, which is important. You need to be able to dot all the I's and cross all the T's, but then you need to be able to go beyond that and not just manage people, but actually lead them and attract and educate, train, and retain team members as well. So you have to evolve as a leader. I think there's never been a more important time to really have a grasp of what's required in those two areas. And even then, and this is the additional challenge layered on top of that, is that you can be doing everything right when it comes to your customers, and you can be doing everything right when it comes to your team. But if someone else comes along and does a better job, you can still be out of business. And that's another thing that 2020 has accelerated, is the level of competition. Like I said before, a lot has changed in the past 2 decades. And the likes of Amazon and Adore weren't even around 25 years ago when I was first exposed to this industry. And that's changed things a lot. And you couple that with people being well informed, but not necessarily have great wisdom around what's best for their skin and the results that they want to obtain. And you have this perfect storm of competition coming in and challenging the salon, spa, and clinic owners. So as I said before, there has never been a more important time to position yourself as the go-to expert when it comes to all things skin and all things aesthetic and beauty. So with that, I want to hand over to Gay, because if there's anyone in this industry that is well-versed at training and educating people on how to become the go-to person when it comes to all things skin, it's Gay Wardle. So Gay, what are some of your insights into how 2020 has turned things on its head, and what you believe that salon, spa, and clinic owners and team members can do to, I guess, arm themselves for a new future?
Oh, Matt, thank you for your insights. That was amazing. But we have to understand that 2020 undeniably was certainly a year of change, and for the beauty skincare industry, these dramatic changes profoundly impacted the future of our industry, and that's going to be the future of our industry. Our industry typically delivers treatments which require personal contact, and all of a sudden we had to become very diverse and think, how are we going to do business in the future? So during COVID, salons and clinics were forced to shut their doors and contact treatments absolutely stopped. And the panic that happened initially in the industry was devastating to hear and to see. But that was just very short term. It actually changed very quickly, because it meant that business owners were required to think outside the square in order to deliver a service that their clients, while also keeping their businesses operating, had to think about keeping their staff on board as well. So clinic owners, salon owners had to reevaluate and restructure if they were going to survive. They had to think, how are we going to do this? How are we going to survive going through this? And it happened. We had to become very diverse in how we operated our businesses. During any catastrophic event, it is often said that there is a silver lining. And for our industry, it was collegial support that we provided for each other, from state to state, which was amazing. It was Australia-wide, clinic to clinic. We were all helping each other to survive. So there was a community that has never been seen before, of people all over Australia reaching out, talking to each other, supporting each other, which was incredible. So more importantly, we're all helping each other with a much needed service to our clients. How are we going to make things different? How are we going to survive? And we all collaborated together. So even in lockdown, businesses continued to move forward. And they did. Some businesses became stronger during the lockdown because they were diverse. They were thinking outside the square. There was a lot of education. Skincare companies and private businesses all stepped up to keep the morale of the industry in high spirits. And that was fantastic to see. We had education like never before as well. Like every other day, there was an educational platform that clinic owners, salon owners could take their staff and listen to. And it was from everything from business, how to operate a business, how to make your business better, to actually educating them on skin treatments as well. So this was received, and the industry looked like it was going to emerge strong in education, and it did. So we were seeing these enormous changes in the industry. So business, as we knew pre-COVID, was going to be different when we opened. So there was all this talk about how are we going to work on our clients? How are we going to be able to do the treatments that we've done because of social distancing? How were we going to manage this as we work in close proximity to the clients? And then there was this thing that happened in the industry that, again, social media became very, very strong. And I think if you were operating on a social media platform, it was really a platform that actually helped us recover in lots of ways. So for me, proudly, I can say the industry learned to work differently, and we saw the need to be more conscious than ever before customer service. And this is the one thing that I saw, that as we emerged, that we were far better at, that we were able to communicate and deliver this customer service that was outside the treatment rooms. Who ever thought that we could do that in this industry? Being hands-on, doing the treatments that we did, who ever thought that we could actually provide and keep a business running and even grow your business outside a treatment room? So the art of communication was essential, and how to conduct consultations online became a newly developed skill. Instead of having a consultation form that was sent out, we had to learn, how are we going to do this? If we send this form out, yes, we're going to gather the information, but how else are we going to actually make this happen so that we have that communication with the client, so that we can make sure, because we had thousands and thousands of people out there that relied on us to keep their skin healthy and to fix their skin. We had so many people that were just as devastated as we were, that we couldn't work on their skin. So we had to think, how are we going to do that? So consultation became a huge thing. So they were taking photos, sending photographs in, filling out the communication consults online, and then the communication over the phone. So to communicate over the phone isn't something that is easy. So that was another skill that we had to learn. It's easy to communicate face-to-face. It's easy to do a consultation face-to-face, but that communication was a newly developed skill. I saw this as a positive change, as this made us develop a more comprehensive understanding of the client's skin health, and to create a rapport with that client where we're not face-to-face with them. That was incredible. So when we reopened, we still have that clientele, and we were able to, even through social distancing, have them. We had to work out how we're going to do this in our treatment rooms, how many people can we have in a clinic. And for some really large clinics that have 10 treatment rooms, 6 treatment rooms or more, and staff for each one of those treatment rooms, it became a juggle, because we were all then told that we can only have a certain amount of people in a clinic at one time. So again, it was learning how we were going to do that. And it happened. It was incredible to see that happen. So, organizations, when we think about, as well as our own community and how we helped each other get through this, we had organizations such as APAN that offered enormous support during the pandemic. And the Dermal Clinician Society was also offering enormous support. And there were other people that were offering this huge amount of support as well for people. And people were actually hungry for that support. They weren't hungry, they needed that support. So clarification regarding the service that our industry delivers in regards to treating severe conditions skin conditions, was presented repeatedly with the intention of being recognised as industry for essential workers. And that's how, I guess, the formation of ABAC came around, because we actually could see that even though we had these other organisations that were offering support, that we still needed to have a bigger support system that was strong, that offered government support, a voice to government as well. And that was basically the reason that we formed ABAC. The goal was to unite the industry, so we had strength and a voice that could be heard. There was a voice that was being heard, but we thought if we could work collaboratively with these other organisations, that would actually help the industry tenfold. So we formed this organisation called ABIC, and it's a commitment for us to actually help with our members, so that if we ever had these situations again, we would have systems in place that we could make sure that we didn't have to go through the diverse changes that we had to. Industry is always going to change, like Matt said. It's always going to develop, it's always going to change, and we need to embrace those changes. But as fast as what it did in 2020, I think we'd all kind of think, oh, please don't do that again. We just want to slow it down a little bit. So we've created this organisation where we have, lots and lots of membership tiers. We've got lots and lots of resources. We've got solicitors, and we've got accountants on board that can actually help with helping people that actually didn't know which way to go. Because sadly, what happened in 2020, although there were some clinics and salons that did grow that were amazing, sadly there were businesses that didn't quite make it. And that's the saddest part about what happened in 2020, is that we had these clinics or these salons that just did not get through. And a lot of people made changes in themselves. We had a lot more movement to going to home clinics than ever before. So there's people that are operating, in their own homes now. And so what happened in the business sector for people that owned clinics is our staff were moving. And that was another big change that we had to think, how are we going to cope with this when we open? We weren't going to have as many staff on board as what we had before. Even though we had JobKeeper, it still was a change for the industry to see these staff movements. And I guess for me, that was something that we had to think about. How can we actually get people back on board, get people back into the clinics, working in the clinics? Because it wasn't anyone's fault that we went through these changes. But what was the problem is that we weren't able to keep them. We weren't able to give them the jobs that they had. And then, like Matt said, you know, there were other jobs that they could have had in the clinics, but some people chose not to do that. And that was really hard to see as well. So, you know, with the formation of ABEC, we're able to give more, I guess, advanced knowledge of government legislation and updates. We have valuable business development material, advancements in treatments and education. That's all going to be available through the ABEC organisation. So, like Flynn said at the beginning, we are going to launch, I think she said this, but we are going to launch sometime in late April. So I hope that you all think about what else you need in your business to support you, because we all need support. We all have our companies that we go to for support, but to have an organisation that's going to help support as well, apart from the ones that are already there, you know, we do need to have this support. So please join us in our mission to advance, support, guide, and unite the aesthetic and beauty industry and the thousands of businesses and professionals within it, so that we can actually be recognised as a force. And I think that's the one thing that we need to stand up and make sure that people understand that we are an industry that is, you know, to be reckoned with, because we've proven that. We've come through all of the challenges that were thrown at us, and we survived, and we survived strong. So I'm very proud to be part of of this industry and part of what we actually went through in 2020. And I'm very proud to be part of the ABEC as well, because I know what we are going to offer, and with support to clinics and salons out there. So what I'd like to do now is bring on my amazing colleague, Emma Hobson, who is incredible, so knowledgeable, and has so much to give to the industry, has always done and continues to do. She is on boards, and she has a lot of information to actually, or a lot of help to actually give to people that are looking for that. So she's an important part of ABEC as well. So Emma, welcome, and I'm proud to be listening to what you've got to say today.
All right, thank you so much, Gay. Thank you, Matt. It is, it's just an honor to be able to speak on the same platform as these two wonderful, wonderful people. And as I say, a sheer honor. For myself, I think when we take a look at what both Matt and Gay have said and what we've all experienced, is this, you know, enormous amount of rapid change. As I said, for me, it feels like we've been in a bit of a tornado, not only a tornado of change, but a tornado of emotions. We need to think about, I think, very much this reset, rethink, and reposition ourselves moving forward. When we look at the industry, we've really had to think about, well, how do we now do what we do? And Gay has sort of alluded to that when she was saying about, you know, how do you fit all of the therapists in the space that we're allowed to? How do we work with social distancing? How do we work with all of our hygiene protocols? Which I have to say, I think has been an absolute positive in our industry, to make sure that we stepped up and made sure all of us really understood and were adhering to very, very, very high standards of hygiene. We always have, from the day we are trained, we do. But to just be very, very aware of what we're doing and make our customers very aware of those levels of hygiene, we really had to rethink what we do and how we do it. And we have to continue to think about what we do and how we do it. We have to think about our new future, because we're not ever going to go back to how it used to be. It is the past, and actually now it is history. It was how it was done pre-COVID. When we move and transition through COVID into our new next is different. And I want to speak to you in a little way as well about being careful not to go into what I would consider very much the danger zone of reverting back to pre-COVID. I think everything is going to be the same again. It was a challenging year, but let's just get back to what we were doing. We can't go back to what we did. We have to go forward into our future with what we are now going to do. What will be our new next? And our new next is a future of constant change, because that is our industry. You know, we look at how we've practiced and what we've done. And Matt said, you know, how we look after our staff is different. Our teams, you know, our teams who are critical components of how we run our business, but how we manage and lead those teams have changed. You know, when we're hopefully, when was the last time you did a leadership training course, or when have you booked yourself in for future ones this year? As Gay said, a lot of us did lots and lots of education during lockdown and times with our teams. It's been a great year. I know for ourselves in our education team, we've never had so many people attend education, and it was a delight. But now we are back into our workplaces. We can't stop educating ourselves. We are now have to be on the new path, which our new path in our future is constantly updating our skills, constantly updating what we do and how we do it. So leadership and team management is going to be essential, constantly making sure you're on top of what that is. And particularly with ABIC, we're very conscious when we look at our resource library, this massive library of tools that we're creating for our members. All of that information has to be there, as well as, you know, lots of information, seminars and events, along with, of course, people like Beauty Expo, you know, constantly trying to provide the education to you in our industry and for us to keep improving so we can move forward effectively. When we take a look at, you know, what the future brings, excuse me, with COVID, you know, COVID has really changed such a lot. As we've said, I think it made us exceptionally creative, very resilient, and very, very resourceful. Great skills to have, creative. How on earth are we going to get those products to our customers? You know, we saw click and collects and drive-through pickup stations for products, and therapists making kits, home care kits for their clients so they could do these treatments with their clients at home. We became ever so creative. Our entrepreneurial spirit blossomed because we had to think differently. And that thinking differently, as Gay said, some businesses have thrived, grown through COVID. Who would have imagined, as she said, that we could grow and grow and we're not actually putting our hands on someone's faces and bodies? We had to be resilient. We had to get tough. We had to weather horrible, horrible times. But it's made us exceptionally resourceful. And so when we take a look at, you know, that in the future, what COVID has also done is made our customers and our consumers, our clients out there, their life has changed. You know, at-home wellness is enormous now. I know for the Pilates studio that I go to, I missed going to my Pilates every day. But, you know, it's easy. My Pilates teacher, get my laptop, sitting in the lounge, did it in the morning, and I can do my Pilates from home. And a lot of our members actually are still doing it from home and don't want to come back. They love that they can do their exercise from home. You know, people were having datings changed. People were having dinner dates and dates with their friends through a computer. We were creating, we were all cooking at home and recipes and home delivery. Wellness is a lot more around home. A lot of us were doing these skin lessons with our customers. They're buying product. We were teaching them doing skin treatments at home with them digitally. Our world, whether we like it or not, has changed. And we still need to continue those connections with our customers at home. That at-home wellness is going to be absolutely essential. Don't drop that. Don't pull back and think, well, the doors of my business are now open, so I don't have to keep the channels of communication that Gay was talking about. You strengthen so much, be it on the phone, be it digitally. We have to improve on those, change those, adapt those, and continue to understand this is part of our new future. Digital fluency is what we are going to work in an environment with. If you're not digitally savvy, then get digitally savvy. It's absolutely essential that you do. Our need for human relationships and touch, absolutely essential. You know, through COVID, one of the things that we do know is that this is it, that we need to touch each other. We need to connect to each other. We've missed that touch, which means our industry has got terribly, terribly connected and important, and the value of this human touch. And so we can capitalize on that. You know, with our wellness, you know, people of course, mental wellness is something that is so important now to people. And so, you know, working on how we connect with our customers and the treatments that we offer, and just that human connection of having your customer tribe that connects with you, and how you connect with them, and that service that we offer. We need to capitalize on that. But we need to think again what it means to be a therapist and to give a treatment, because it isn't what it was before. We have to think about our environment. How do our front desks operate? How do our back treatment rooms operate? Our environment has to change, how we work, how we connect. The digital fluency is present even in our businesses. We've got to get very digital savvy. When we look at the customer blended experience, most of us now, and what a lot of businesses are doing, you first, as Gay was saying, you do a consultation, and maybe you send digitally a consultation to your customers. They fill everything out at home. They digitally send it back to you. You have the consultation that all you have to do is spend a couple of minutes reviewing with your customer. You have your visit, you follow up digitally, you follow up, how are you doing with the products you bought? Let's do a mirror me lesson. Let me see how you're using those products in your bathroom at home. Pop your phone down, let's have a look how we're doing this. Our experience of how we are interacting with our clients is not just they come in for treatment, bye, and see you in a few weeks' time. No. And if that is what you're doing, then you have to rethink, because that's not the future. The future is this connected with people in their home, outside of our businesses, as well as inside of our businesses. We have to constantly rethink and not repeat. We cannot do the old repetition. And what we have now is not going to be good enough next year. And what we learn next year is not going to take us forward if we just reset, repeat. It has to be rethink, reinvent, create new. We have to really challenge ourselves with our behavior. And when things don't work, doesn't matter about failing, just like a child who falls over and gets up again, you have to use your imagination to keep looking at different ways. And you may say, well, you know, Emma, why change what's made me successful? Well, the reason why you have to change what made you successful is what I know Matt was alluding to. Charles Darwin said, the most adaptive survive. We have to, and Gay said, you know, we've survived through COVID, most of us, thank goodness. But it isn't just about surviving. We have to thrive moving forward. and to be relevant in the future, to have a business that is still viable, that still makes money, we have to adapt. And why we mustn't stay the same, why we mustn't be in our same think mode, is that enormous growth happens when you are in a rethinking mode. You saw that last year. You had to rethink how to do things, and your business still managed to make money. Leaders have to be major rethinkers. You got to be brave. Don't fear failing. We all fail. It's just a way we learn to move on and improve. You got to innovate, create, and respond. We need to educate ourselves constantly, do courses, online courses, attend courses, listen to podcasts, educate yourself in every opportunity possible. ABIC is going to provide an incredible resources to help educate you to be strong and to thrive in the future with digital fluency. Looking in the field of mental wellness, such an integral part of our future and how we offer and support our consumers and our mental wellness ourselves. To constantly make sure that we are adapting our business as consumer preferences change, as Matt mentioned. You know, the changing landscape, not only of what our customers and clients want, but the changing landscape of all the businesses around us. We have to educate ourselves, adapt, respond, and change to people management and to changing the whole industry. ABIC got together, so collectively we are one industry with all the affiliated associations that we will work so closely with to raise industry standards. Our industry has an enormous potential for growth, but we can't grow if our head is in the past. We cannot get stuck in our old ways. We have to rethink and recharge. We have to create the future, and this is what ABIC also wants to do. We want to create the future of change that we all need it to be. We need to be observant of what is happening around us. Our antenna are up. What are other businesses doing? Not just in our industry, but what are other leading businesses doing? Some, you know, like in professions, will be extinct in a few years' time, not ours. But we need to evolve. The future is strong if we are a change maker. We need to thrive now and not just survive. A great book I'd like to finish off with, to recommend to you all, is by Adam Grant, Think Again. And basically one of his lines I love is, listen to opinions that make you think hard, not opinions that make you feel good. We have, all three of us today, perhaps made some of people feel uncomfortable because change is uncomfortable. But we encourage you to have conversations, go to networking groups, work together, find out what's happening, what other people are doing, and together we can all grow. We would highly encourage you, of course, to consider joining ABIC. We would love to have a wonderful united industry where we are all working to one cause. And wishing you a very bright and very, very successful future. So if we can just ask, Flynn, do we have any questions in the chat box?
No, we don't currently. So if anyone has any questions now, if you want to pop those into the chat, we can read them out and get anyone on the panel to answer those questions for you. We'll also have recorded today's session, so it will be made available on our website if anyone wants to rewatch it later or share with any of your colleagues. Emma, I know you mentioned that the ABIC website is being launched in April. In the meantime, what's the best way for people to keep up to date with what you guys are doing? Is it following your social channels? Or?
Yes, if they can follow our socials, you will find it we're on Instagram, we're on Facebook. Instagram pages are a really good way to follow us, the ABIC. Also, you can put your expression of interest. If you do go into the www.theabic.org.au, you will find that you can register your interest in becoming a member. And then, of course, when we can send you out the information very shortly when our website's launched, all about the details, the levels of membership. We have different membership tiers, understanding different people's situations, different business models. If you work on your own, if you're, a multi-business, etc.
Yeah, perfect. So we've got a question that's come through from Tamara Reid. Hi, Tamara, one of our panelists from Monday. She says, what does ABIC wish for the future of the industry tomorrow, but also in 5 years' time?
Can I just answer that just quickly? I think we all need to have a purpose. We all need to have a why, and that's really important. So I just would like everyone to know what ABIC's purpose is, and it exists for the purpose of representing and uniting the entire aesthetic industry and providing those within it an authentic, ethical, accessible and supportive organisation for the betterment of the professional standards, working practices and growth of the salon, clinic and spa industry. That's our purpose. That's ABIC's purpose. So yeah, hope that answers it, Tamara.
Anyone else have anything to add to that? I know obviously, we're all thinking about what is our current, what do we need to do right now, but
I think,
5 years' time, what does that look like, do you think?
I think for the mission, obviously at ABIC, we would like to have very, very strong government representation. We were an industry that's, and it wasn't that there aren't organisations that try to have that voice and individuals, but if we can all, group together, ourselves are the industry professionals, industry organisations, that we are so strong, we have such a large voice, that we have made the connections and the relationships with people in government that understand our industry. Our challenge sometimes is that the understanding of our industry, sometimes we get put, we're exactly the same as hairdressing. Well, obviously we're not. Anyone who's in our industry knows we're not hairdressers. It is, we have different needs. How we treat our clients are different. And though we may have similarities, of course, we have very, very unique needs, and getting that across the right people in government. So ABIC wants to make sure in the next 5 years that's really strong, that we we are a voice that has to be listened to, and we're also a voice that educates in avenues where that education currently is. Be that in, not just in one federal government, it's in all the governments, the states around the country. We also want to feel confident that the end user, our clients, our customers, the consumers, feel really confident that they can go into any industry establishment, because our industry is so diverse and it keeps getting more and more diverse. We have so many specialists, and it's great to be an expert in brows, or an expert in acne, or an expert in laser, or an expert in many, many different fields. We've got such diversity. But wherever a customer goes, that they know that that they have the security and the knowledge that those people are well trained, they run their businesses well, they have good business practices, they have, the customer has the confidence that wherever they go in the industry, if they are, particularly we hope as an ABIC member, that is a sign of we've raised the bar. And it is so much better that an industry self-governs itself than is heavily governed by people who don't know our industry as well. So self-regulation for us makes us stronger, rather than, as I say, being governed by perhaps a body that has no idea really what we need and what we want. And for us in 5 years' time, it is that we've brought everybody along with us. You know, sometimes in small business, you don't have the support, you don't know where to get the advice, you don't know, you know, HR advice and lawyer advice. It's hard to be in small business. And where do you have the time to go to these places? That we want to feel that in 5 years, everybody knows how they can run a business. They have the tools, they have the resources, so that business practices are all running more effectively and better because people have the how to. And so that's very important for us as well.
Perfect. So we have another question that's come through from Kimberly. She says, great panel, by the way, but she's asked, as someone who's just starting out and learning how to network and make my way in this industry, what is some important values to remember to successfully network in this time at the moment?
Who wants to take that one? Anybody? Matt?
I'll offer my opinion on that one. One thing that I've always felt over the years is that to not be afraid of. I think that I remember reading once that the actual definition is to cooperate together. That was where the word was derived, and I think that that your competitors make you better. And I've always attempted to reach out and connect with direct competitors, and it's been such a great way to network, to discuss the challenges that I face, to learn from them. I think that we all make each other better. Our foundation members, the companies that have supported ABIC to date, are all competitors of each other. However, we gather together to share ideas to how to advance the industry. And I think that I love the fact that we can do that. And I think for a new person starting out, you can take the same approach, where the salon down the road doesn't have to be, you know, this evil person that's stealing your customers. I had one gentleman refer to me as, we're frenemies. We're friends, but enemies, but it's all lighthearted. And what can I learn from you? What can you learn from me? How do we grow together to get better? So that would be just a little piece of advice around networking and growing in the industry.
Can I just add to that, Matt? Like there's a clinic that is literally, you can walk there in 5 minutes from where I am. And we actually utilize each other's services. We communicate with each other. We go to each other's events. We offer different services. So in lots of ways, we complement each other. I don't take their clients for the services that they offer, and they don't take mine for the services that I offer. So I think, like Matt said, I think if we can build that community and we can actually work together, it just gives us more power. It just makes us stronger. And I think uniting in this industry, and that's what did happen in COVID in 2020, is that we had that amazing uniting of different businesses coming together. And if we can keep that going forward, it is only going to make us better, stronger than ever. And yeah.
The only thing I would add as well, which is not directly related to networking, but if she's starting out, is to constantly, I like the term, constantly put a focus on sharpening the saw. So there's the old saying of the guy's trying to saw the tree down, but he's using a blunt saw. So sometimes you have to stop sawing or stop working and get some additional education and look at other ways that you can learn and grow about your industry. And as we have said in the last hour, The changes are endless, so you have to be continually evolving and adapting. So having a growth mindset around what you can learn in the industry, so you don't just enter the industry and it's like, okay, well, I've done my training and now it stops. It's constantly evolving. What else do I need to know to prepare myself for the next 5 years?
That's excellent, Matt. Now, can I also add to that? Like, if you haven't done it already, understand what your core value is, understand what your purpose is, and create your culture. And then I think when you have those three things, then you can align and then you can create an amazing business. You become unstoppable when you have core values, when you create an amazing culture, and you understand exactly what your why is, what your purpose is.
Perfect, Gay. And I'll just add to that for Kimberly too, just a plug, because another great way to sort of continue that education and also network is come to events like Beauty Expo Australia. So 28th to the 29th of August, we'd love to see you there. And we'll obviously, hopefully see everyone from the panel as well. I really, echoing what you say about collaborating with everybody rather than the competition. And I love that's what you guys are doing, and sort of working with the other industry bodies for the betterment of our community. So I really applaud you guys for that approach. We don't seem to have any other questions at the moment, but as I said, you can re-watch this recording. We will share it. You know where you can reach out and follow along with ABIC on their social channels. Thank you, Emma, Matt, and Gay. It's been a great session. Amazing to see the industry coming together, as I said, and at Beauty Expo, we're very proud to be working with you to continue that great work and shape that new future for our industry. So thank you very much for your time today. That's it for today's session, everybody, and we hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay.